Hello, folks. Welcome back. We are going to take a moment here to chat about the Party RPG. Thank you for sticking around. Still with me, Kate, UK Games Expo Marketing Manager, but a different Doctor Who villain. No, a different face joining the party. It's Ben. How are you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And actually, two things to apologise for. Firstly, I've got my hat on because I've got a lockdown haircut, and secondly, I've got a leak on my roof, which means my ceiling is unpainted. So apologies for the
oh bless you,
slightly messy background.
It's fine. It's fine. We understand. Lockdown has been strange for everyone. I attacked my hair with colour the other day, so you can tell how I'm going in lockdown.
Yeah, I've got the opposite way. I don't actually have hair.
It's like nope. There it goes.
There, done, dusted. Oh well, amazing. That's life at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting away from real life. I love this logo with the party balloons and the RPG. Tell us a little bit about the Party RPG for those who are curious.
Yeah, sure. So the Party RPG is a game that we created that basically fuses tabletop role-playing games, so you get that really great experience of playing together and imagining a world, but also fused with party games. So it's I need to clarify, it's not for children. It does have some slightly strange or weird things in there that you might not want kids to hear. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's basically a fusion of those two things that is designed to be both kind of fun and engaging, but also give you that kind of deep and rich experience that you get generally from role-playing games. Hopefully it opens it up to new people that maybe haven't played role-playing games before and want to dip their toes into the water. So I think it's a bit of a gateway game in that regard.
Cool. I like this picture you shared with us. Fighting a troll with a spatula. Bad idea, Brian. Is that the kind of humour that's in the game? Is that?
It is, yeah. It's definitely the kind of vibe I was going for. I think I had one of my comments from my friend actually, which was somehow you've managed to get your illustrator capture your weirdness perfectly. So I think it's both a credit to the illustrator and also definitely a perfect demonstration of the kind of generally the writing style of the book. It's kind of edgy, vibey, is a little bit weird, a little bit strange. Lots of the characters in it are kind of odd, and it's good to be curious in the world to kind of engage with those characters. So yeah, it definitely represents the kind of vibe I'm going for, and also represents the kind of journey you might go on throughout the game. So be prepared.
What started it? What was the kind of moment?
Yeah, it's actually really a really strange route into it. So I tried playing Dungeons and Dragons with some friends, as you kind of do, with some of my university friends. And, there's this amazing concept, great artworks, intricately written plots, brilliantly constructed worlds and monsters. But there was one giant problem, and that's me, which is I've got the attention span of a goldfish, and I can lose interest quite quickly. So. Particularly when I've had a few beers as well. So I was there trying to kind of be the games master because I'd obviously committed to doing that for some reason or another, taking on the biggest role. And Dungeons & Dragons is amazing, but it can be a little bit intense as a beginner. And so I cast aside the Dungeons & Dragons book and just kind of winged it and made up the rules as I went along. I decided to add in some party games to primarily embarrass my friends actually and kind of get everyone out of their shell and kind of really bring it to life a little bit more, so we weren't just kind of in each other's heads. And got them doing like their best pig impressions, act out crude and weird kind of scenes, that kind of stuff. And that was our kind of first RPG experience actually, and it was chaotic, it was haphazard, it was completely weird, but it was amazing fun. And it really opened my eyes, I guess, to just how brilliant role-playing games can be. It's just in terms of how far your imagination can take you and what it reveals about people as well, which is a really important point, right? Because sometimes you become your true self in those games. It's a really interesting dynamic. I absolutely loved it. And then 2 weeks later, I was on a train from Cardiff to Edinburgh for work, and I got to thinking, because it's a really long train journey. I got to thinking, you know what, this would be pretty cool to write this. So I started doing it and haven't looked back. Yeah, it's been incredible fun.
Wow,
that's absolutely tremendous. I love that. So some games masters and dungeon masters, they need to have a tight rein and a hold on things, and some of them a bit more fast and loose. I love the idea that essentially a game that has escaped into the wild has in essence become your game. You're like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to release it into the wild, let it charge around a bit, and then maybe tame it into this box so that we've now got the party RPG. That's absolutely tremendous as a concept.
Yeah, and it was certainly an interesting journey to get there as well. It took a lot of interesting play tests, should we say?
Yeah.
Actually, I tell you what, playtesting was just as much fun as writing. Actually, some of the stuff that came out was incredible. So my fiance and my and some of my mates from home are not big into fantasy. One of them hasn't even seen Lord of the Rings. I know, travesty. Arrested, I think. It was actually hilarious. So one of them became our old primary school caretaker. One of them took on the role of a bazooka wielding hotelier from Greece. And my fiance, who's super into animal rights, actually used a baby squirrel as bait to cross the goblin minefield. And so I was sat there thinking, this really does reveal a lot about the people that are playing here. And that's kind of how it built out the rules then following those testings to try and make sure we captured that essence, that it was really people just having fun. And that's the important part, is realize that you don't have to have an amazing imagination to do this stuff. You don't have to be into fantasy. You can have fun whether you think you're into this kind of game or not.
So
that's absolutely tremendous.
So help me, it's a book. Is it like, I mean, obviously I'm sat here in front of a billion different books. So how different is it to, like, for grown-ards like me? What are we going to see with this?
Yeah, sure. So I think the thing that you might see with this is it is a little bit more structured, I think, in terms of the guidance it gives. So it is a book. Here's the book.
It is. Wow. And you've got more of that cute kind of neon art. I love it.
The weird character vibe. I probably need to add actually a little piece of censor down here because the orc's loincloth has fallen down.
All right, just hold it back from the camera a bit.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fine.
There you are.
Oh dear.
So yeah, what you'll find is it's kind of got all the basic elements of traditional role-playing games. You've got character sheets within here that you can cut out. Cool. You can also download them from the site as well, so you don't necessarily, if you run out here, absolutely fine. But it is kind of geared towards those that are starting out role-playing games for the first time. But if you're an experienced games master, you'll boss it from the start. But it's got stuff like a games master reference sheet as well, so that if you're a new games master, you can just refer back to the sheet and keep getting a reminder of the rules. I guess what else you get as you go through it is a little bit more linear. So it's not as freeform as some other role-playing games. And that was primarily a design decision, just because throughout testing, originally I started off with this map that kind of had loads of different lanes and tracks going off from the main route, and people could go off and explore. And what I found was that didn't quite work for people that had never played before. Actually, it got really overwhelming. People started to get a bit confused. So actually I stripped it back and just made it a bit more linear. So you go through, but that still means that you still have lots of adventure in there. So there's still choices you can make. It's not necessarily that there aren't choices in there for you to make. You can still absolutely make your own choices. I guess what else, the other kind of nuance here for kind of old heads is there's party games in it. So it gives you party games to play with your crew or your squad, so you can actually get them standing up and doing stuff. One of the ones I love in here is actually when you're in the inn in the Enchanted Forest is playing a game of Squawky Pig. So one of the witches challenges you to a contest where all of the team have to do their best pig impressions, and it is hilarious if you get everyone doing it.
That's amazing.
It's brilliant, because sometimes I think we get a little bit too serious, especially when we get when you dive into RPGs, and a lot of the times folks are watching highly produced thespian-led
people who act for a living, are beautiful for a living, have amazing voices for a living, and then there's us. 5
mates around the table, and it inevitably descends into a fart joke of some kind. And the idea of, like, you have the adventure tells you to make these daft impressions, and it's great. It's a beautiful introduction to what RPGs tend to really be.
It really is. It's stripping it back to the fact that, at heart, I think everyone that plays role-playing games does it because they like some form, not escapism, but they like being someone else for a few hours. And actually, go back to basics. There's like the silliness, the crudeness of it, the immaturity, I think can all make it a really, really fun experience. And I see this sitting alongside, like, it's definitely not a challenger to all of the existing RPGs out there that are incredible for the details, like world building and stuff like that. This is more of a kind of, you dip in, you get that adventure with your friends. It's more fun. It's perhaps a little easier to go through, and maybe a little easier as a GM to manage. So it's more maybe as a side quest, or if you're brand new to role-playing games, definitely the right kind of game for you. Because I think, it's one of those, if you just want to have a bit of fun, round the table with friends, this is it. That's the kind of vibe we were going for.
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome. How easy is it to just pick up and run?
Yeah,
either for a noob or for someone more experienced. See, what I want to do now is I want to go on your website, buy the thing, and say, guys, this Sunday, why don't we do this and do,
Yeah, so well, I'm going to say this, of course. It's super easy. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Awesome.
But so simplicity was the core tenet of design here. So I wanted to make it really accessible, which meant actually one of the things that I got overwhelmed with was just the number of rules and the number of pages that you had to go through to flick through. And so one of the things that I designed this around, there's actually only 7 pages of rules in here. So you only have 7 pages of rules to get your head around. There's 1 page of dice rules. So it's a relatively straightforward dice rule system. So it's just 3 6-sided dice, and the number of dice you roll depends on your level. Some situations it's always 3 dice, but that's clearly defined in the book. And then throughout the book as well, there's constantly hints and reminders telling you what the rules are and kind of how to structure it. So for example, within the locations themselves, everything's color coded as well, so you can see what the different action types are. So for example, if there's items present, it's blue. If there's new missions to undertake or side quests, because there are side quests and main quests within it that you have to take on, you get those in green. And then there's a section at the back of the book where you can tick off all of the side quests as you're going along, so you don't get lost and confused. So there's all of those different components. I think you could probably, if you're new to the game, get into it in hopefully the target aim was to get into it within kind of 20 to 30 minutes. You could probably jump in sooner than that, to be honest.
That's amazing.
So that was our target. And we managed to hit it in all play testing. Cool. Obviously, it depends on how familiar you are with kind of games and concepts and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
That's very cool.
The sort of prep and the downtime and the thing between games is always a big worry for folks who are going to GM. But you've got like everything wrapped up in your book there to go, no, okay, we've done that bit and we're covering off that bit, and now we're going to go to this tavern and do this bit that I think is going to be hilarious, that kind of stuff.
And actually another cool principle here, which is which kind of strengthens that as well, is I actually got fed up of being the GM for my group. I actually want to play here. I want to be part of this adventure. Because as much as you can, as much as it's amazing fun being in control of what people do, like the world around them, and kind of making sure you come up with all the crazy kind of critical failures and stuff like that, which is great fun. Actually, I wanted to be a part of that. So one of the principles here is you can actually swap games masters at each location. So the idea is, that's the other reason as well why there's that games master reference sheet, is just to make that as seamless and as easy as possible, so that people can go around and you can be both a character and both a GM throughout the game. And what we've also done as well is simplified the way in which you level up your character. So if you're a games master, you get the full experience points for that location. So rather than you earning experience points based on an individual interaction, say each fight, you just get it on a location basis, just to help make that a bit smoother and a bit easier.
Yeah.
So there's an incentive to kind of pass the book around the table, not only because I absolutely sucked at that fight, I need to level up. So I'm going to
maximum XP the next round, which you get if you're the games master.
But also, like, you're not. I'm going to stay the GM because my character's way behind everybody else's, so I'll just stay the GM. It's just fine, folks. But you're not, because you're going to carry on and level up with everybody else. It's really cool. That's a lovely kind of table mechanic. I like it.
I love that you get different flavor depending on how different people run it as well. And I like that not only adds to the adventure, but also kind of the wacky side of things, depending on how someone else is running it.
It does. One of the concerns that I had at the start was, would it be too inconsistent between games masters and going through? And actually what came out of it was that inconsistency was great. Because what happened is you had completely different, like it felt actually weirdly kind of more natural, because
Yeah.
real life isn't consistent, and real life isn't the same like sets of rules that govern around every interaction. There's lots of different variables and lots of different influencing factors, and actually having a different games master at each location kind of drove that out. So it actually did become really interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of you kind of went, there's a pendulum of swinging between people that are kind of super imaginative and maybe less weird,
Yeah.
and people that are really weird and really imaginative. Not that I'm lumping those two things together, but that's me, by the way.
That's tremendous.
And so there was a really strange, and there's some middle ground there as well. But it was awesome fun, really good fun.
This is awesome. So I often see things in a cinematic context. So this is how you end up with Dusk Till Dawn. Because it starts off as this hardcore cop chasing baddies road movie with his family caught up with it. And all of a sudden you're in a bar with vampires, Aztec vampires, and it just goes mad. It's just like, what happened? It's like, I passed the book to Jo. You know, she wanted to run it like that. It was really fine.
Is like that. Yeah, it was strange actually. One of the test runs we played as well, we it's funny, the little interaction actually, and I find role-playing games, this is exactly what they've got around. It's the little interactions that you don't expect to happen end up kind of running away. Like they go off a complete tangent. So there was one where we were in the bar in the Enchanted Forest, and I was expecting it just to be kind of a quick 2-minute thing. Long story short, we spent an hour and a half in this bar, and it culminated in a dance-off between goblins and dwarves and the party, in which one of the party ended up losing an arm. So it was...
Oh my goodness. See, that's
no idea how we
brilliant.
got there.
we spent 2 hours in a pub that we'd already spent half an hour in previous session last night, and my DM was like, you guys are never going to get out this pub to the encounter, but now I feel better about that, you know. Dance off.
There's something about pubs that draw you in, especially now when we're not allowed in the parade.
Yes, they are fictional fantasy places, right?
Yeah.
Which is not good.
So far away. No, not that far away. It's all in. Yeah. Soon. So
stay on target.
Hopefully.
So you've got an enchanted forest. You've got a tavern. The map is. I can see if I picture here on the other screen. The map looks like huge. How many places can you visit in this book?
So there's 16. Yeah. So
Nice.
although it's linear, there is still that was one of the things I wanted to capture as well. Was although I made it linear to make it easier, I didn't want to lose that sense of like epic adventure that you get on throughout like role-playing games. So yeah, there's 16 quests. There's lots of kind of different characters in each one. One of them kind of in each one, in several you'd have to advance the main quest, but then in others there's kind of side quests that you might need to go on, or opportunities to level up, get new weapons, get new armor, get new shields, stuff like that. So yeah, there's lots of different vibes in there, and actually drawing in experience and inspiration from lots of different places. There's stuff in there that has got inspiration from some of the worlds around Harry Potter. Some of it is around Lord of the Rings, and some of it is just completely new and totally different. But I wanted it to be a celebration of those things rather than derivative. Like I think there's that you can pay homage to other creators without necessarily ripping them off, and I hope that's the kind of balance that the book aims to strike.
And it's also one of those things where it's a comfort. I mean, we've had a decade of Harry Potter, and the same for Lord of the Rings and then Middle Earth, in that people see it in the background, even if you haven't seen any of these trilogies, whatever they're on now. It's still one of those things. Yeah. Lots of films. It's great. But you actually get that, and people are like, oh yeah, no, I've seen this, but actually coming to then play it, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's a familiarity, isn't it? And knowing that there's common component, like you're not going to get away from the fact that most fantasy components have been done before a million times before. Yeah. So I think where it's trying to build the unique character of the book is actually in the characters and the interactions, and then just the oddities within the world. So build out all of these stranger experiences. So there's trolls in there that have a fascination with obstacle courses. That's one of the party games as well that you might have to go through, which I won't say too much about. There's also gnomes that enjoy hallucinogenic grain as well. So they're hippie gnomes, if you like. So you can keep coming across them, and they could be right little blighters. So yes,
they either have the weirdest thing, or they'll tell you the plot, but no one will believe them. Is that one of those? Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And trustworthy. That's the keep you guessing.
Yeah. There's a is that a grumpy goat up there at number 2?
There is, yes. There's an old goat as well, who is a magical goat. If there's ever been such a thing before, who has a strangely human posture and kind of guides you on your journey. I feel a bit sorry for him actually, because every single playtest I've done, people kidnap the goat.
Come with us now, Grandad.
That's not what's supposed to happen. He's supposed to stay there and help you, and everyone captures him. I've heard stories about people taking him for food later on, which is a bit weird, which is a bit worrying. Offering him up as kind of trade and bargaining chips for other things they want. So it's quite funny.
Depending on how mercenary your party is. There's actually, I saw recently, I think it's up somewhere near Manchester, you can have goat crashers to your Zoom calls. There's a farm, they weren't making any money. Someone came up with a genius plan that for a £5 you can have a goat join your Zoom. So that would be the perfect time if you're playing remotely, that you have a goat crasher and you have the goat.
Perfect collaboration idea there. So if the goat farmer is watching,
be amazing.
That's awesome. So with your playtesters and when you've been running this before we for other folks have got their hands on, have you ever had to kind of be like, no, give back, no, stop, kind of?
So I tried not to be. So my professional background is in kind of customer journey design,
cool.
And actually creating, kind of collaborating, whiteboarding, testing, ideating. And one of the things I've learned from that is actually it's really good just to kind of let these things organically happen and then just take notes and kind of try not to control the situation, because what I wanted to make sure was that actually then when it came to the game, I could make sure I could try and, as far as possible, recreate that kind of the things that I liked about it and also explore what they didn't like. So I'd let them carry out on that so I could take notes on maybe where it was going wrong, so that I could get that kind of organic feedback in the moment. So I kind of just tried letting them go at it.
Just keep going.
And that also led to some interesting bits of feedback. It did mean that the rules had to be rewritten about 4 or 5 times, but that's exactly kind of what you have to do in these situations, isn't it? So
absolutely.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So we've already got folks. Lanky Sai is like, so once we've done the book, how easy is it to take it beyond the content and the scenarios? But like, can you just keep going once you've got to all 16 locations?
Yeah, so the world itself, I guess, once you've got to the end of the book, you keep your character sheets. You could then, so in terms of, because it's this linear storyline, the only way to then go back through the book is to start visiting the other locations again. And there's enough interactions in there that you could probably go back to other locations and start going into different places that you maybe haven't been before, or maybe that you have been before, but there's going to be different interactions in there. And I think you would get a much different vibe from it. What we're also working on as well is actually other quests then that you can take forward, so you can reuse your character. So the character sheets, if you keep them at the end, you can reuse those then in future quests to make sure that actually you keep getting that fun out of it. But in terms of the book itself, it would take you about 10 to 15 hours to get through the entire thing. And actually that's probably on the lower side, but you can chunk it up if that sounds too scary as well, because I know that for beginners that'll be way too much. I'd design that primarily so that you could have a full day in, get lots of buffet food in, or beige food, and kind of get some drinks and get together with your friends, have a full day in. And obviously that was before COVID. But what you can do is you can split it down into 2-hour chunks. So there's 6 main quests throughout the game, and each of those take about an hour and a half, 2 hours to complete. So you can split it up in that way as well. So hopefully that answers the question, but also answers the question around how kind of long the game is.
No, it does. I like the 2 ways, like, because obviously these days it tends to be a couple of hours on Zoom, and that kind of puts you at the end of your Zoom or Discord or whatever tolerance. So you've got that nice way to sort of break it up. But it sounds like you're going to be howling and laughing whatever way you kind of run it. And then it's also a really great thing, like, now we can meet up and let's have a day. Let's go. We've all forgotten our deep, highbrow, RP-heavy RPG. So let's just have a laugh, guys. Let's just, for this first session, let's remember how to be in the same place together.
And what we've actually also done is there are rules in there as well, which means that they're not they're not rules you have to abide by, but they're suggestions. And actually, there's another point about the book is it's all like the whole thing is down to you guys. So it's a framework, and it gives you enough framework to enjoy the day, but actually you can go off on a tangent and you're in control of your game experience. But one of the rules recommendations that is in there is actually if you dress up and go into fancy dress, and then you impose penalties, maybe for breaking character. So for example, if you use another person's name, well, there you go, you have to go get refreshments for the rest of the team, right?
That's amazing.
And, we're dressed as well. So we did for my mates, for one of my friends' stag do's, I actually did this as a playtest. So I did a big playtest.
Oh, that's amazing.
We were dressed up I got everyone fancy dress, and then we went through Windermere doing the quest. So and there must have been so many people looking at us being like, what are these guys doing? And the worst dress that came to the day had to dress up as a horse. So I got a full horse costume.
Oh,
they were the steed. So yeah, be careful, because if you don't dress up and if you don't take it seriously, bad things can happen.
You don't take this ridiculously silly RPG seriously.
I love it.
I love it. It's perfect levels of
insanity and
this is the game. Let's go, folks. Oh no, I like it. Like just wandering around Windermere, like hark, it's this way.
we got a few honks on the horn. That was great. This is about 2 years ago now, and actually, my standout memories is the guy who's the stag. So I organised this stag do. We started the quest. And we started at the Airbnb cottage that we'd rented, and got about half an hour in, and everyone was like, oh, have you seen Chris? And we were looking around for him, and he was dressed as a dwarf and had actually fallen asleep behind one of the cars.
Oh no!
Completely missed him. So the guy whose day it was all about actually missed out a huge chunk of the start because he was just in the car dressed as a dwarf. So it was brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Sleeping
brilliant.
Dwarfs lie and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's almost perfect for the whole RPG thing. It really, isn't it?
I love the LARP crossover as well into it. I think that's nice. You know, it's fledgling role player, fledgling LARPer, that kind of thing.
Sometimes you just gotta do it, don't you? Get out your system.
Absolutely.
And it's one way to sort of break the ice and get back into things is just to go all in. Just turn it up to 11 and just have a silly laugh with it and forget to take yourself that seriously and leave all the sort of stress and big things, because I've got a staff and my hood keeps falling over my eyes kind of situation.
Tripping over the edge of my robe and sword belt doesn't sit properly.
And we've got to find the tavern in the mystical forest.
Yep.
It really helps get the vibe for sure. Yeah,
it's brilliant.
That's tremendous.
Love it. So, just show us the book again. How big is the book? Let's have a look at some stats. Look at that.
Yeah, sure. So it's A4.
Yeah.
And it's 100 pages long.
Oh, cool.
So it's not the biggest RPG book, but there's enough content in there for sure for you to, as I said, get lost for about 10 to 15 hours in there. And in terms of the additional supporting content then, so it's not just what's in the book as well, but what there is on the site, if you need to print out some more stuff, there's stuff available on the site, and there's also digital dice as well. So it uses a 3-6-sided dice system, but you can either use your own or you can use the digital dice. So you can have it both ways if you like. And as I said, you can also print off more character sheets if you need them off the site as well. So it's not just about what's in the book, but there's stuff in there that can help you continue gameplay after. And as I said, eventually as well, we're going to be adding new quests and stuff onto the site as well.
Oh, that's cool. And it's really quick. You mentioned only 7 pages that we just need to get through, and that's like the rules, the crunchy, difficult bit, if you will.
Yeah, and exactly the crunchy difficulty bit, as you said. Yeah, there's two things. I guess there's two things about the rules that I tried to make really kind of straightforward. One is how you explain the concept to new people. So all we've got there is some really simple icons that just say listen, imagine, roll. So it's just that kind of, you go through that phase of, if you're new to RPGs, you just understand it's listening to the games master as they read out the location.
Yeah.
Then you imagine, you come up with crazy solutions to the in-game challenges, and then you roll dice. And it's as straightforward as that. And then there's additional stuff in there about like how you make your character, and on the back of the character sheet as well, there's detailed instructions to help make sure that actually stimulates some conversation about what you might want your character to be. Like you can either be a standard race, there's no set race that you can be whatever you want. You can be, I've had unicorns, dragons, as I said, you know, caretakers, bazooka wielding hoteliers, you can do whatever you want. Medieval accountant as well was one, which was an interesting one. And then all of the dice rolls just fit neatly on a page. So that is, make sure it's kind of a flow, so that if you're doing something against the environment, there's one rule set for that. If you're doing skills against another character, there's one set of rules for that. So you can really easily see, like if you're trying to sneak past another character or steal from them or haggle from them or whatever else, you can use your skills. And then you can also fight against other characters as well. So there's then a battle line. So hopefully that makes it super easy for people that are just playing the game to get into it and start playing. And this is all about just making sure you get in there and don't think about it too much and just start having fun.
That's awesome.
I love that your background on user experience and design of things means that the manual, instead of it like being tons and tons of words, is like, well, this is a flow diagram because we're trying to show you a flow of stuff, and then here's the bits related to it. I really like that from the layout point of view. That's
although I have to be honest, I actually started it and the flow was at the bottom, but I was like, I don't get this. Why is it at the bottom and all the words at the top? So there was an element of some of that coming out in the customer testing as well. But I think that's where it's really easy to transpose some of those like methodologies into game design. Is what I found is they're definitely relevant. Ultimately, it's the end person making sure it's as easy as possible for them to play.
Cool.
That's very, very, very cool.
Very cool.
I definitely want to play this. This is going to be great. I'm one of the chaps in the chat has just gone, right, I'm off and buying it. So hopefully that'd be good.
It's good. I'm not sure we should let Finney loose with this. That would be a step too far into the obscene.
Quite possibly. We'll run an expo version that isn't recorded.
Behind closed doors.
No, there's all of our please don't swear, this is family friendly. That's sometimes quite different in the office.
Everybody's a grown up when you have the end of the day. So it's all fun. But I'm interested in the party games. I want to find out what they all are and what happens when you go somewhere now. I'm never one to settle for secrets. That's why I like being the GM.
So there's about I can't remember how many there are now, and I should really know this, right? I'm just going to make up a figure, and they'll be somewhere within that region. I think there's about 12 of them.
Cool. Okay,
sounds about right.
Yeah.
So basically, they're the party games, and they're not just party games, but it's stuff that you need to do in real life to make stuff happen. So, for example, it'll be like a magical item is nearby, and you hear it speaking to you through the ether. It's soft, dulcet tones kind of reaching out to you. But in order to reach it, you've got to scream out, reveal yourself, but whilst rapidly moving your tongue from the top of your mouth to the bottom. I'm not going to do it because it'd be super embarrassing. I've watched a group of people do it, and about halfway through, everyone just burst out laughing because they all look totally stupid. So it's brilliant. So there's stuff like that in there. There's also like a bush blocks your way. He's called the Dancing Bush, so he's actually Scottish. Had a Celtic cousin in there. So there's he's blocking your way, and you've got to act out a song of the games master's choosing silently, and the rest of the squad have to get it. And if they don't, then you don't move forward. And you have to keep doing it until they do. And if you do, the bush thanks you and jumps off and runs away. So
that's amazing. So this is great. This is like skill challenges and things, but you actively have to do things yourselves, not just roll the dice. That's very cool.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to bring that dynamic in, which is bridging the gap between your imagination and the real world. So it's no longer just about your imagination. It is actually you doing stuff in real world that has the influence on the game. Hopefully it makes it a bit more engaging for new players. As I said, one of the things is I totally want this to be kind of a gateway game to deeper, more detailed, intricately written kind of RPGs, which this isn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I love the idea that you also have these skill challenges. So anyone who just wants the power gaming thing has to participate in the crazy, and any of the dark and edgy characters who are there to have drama suddenly have this oink, just oink,
oink, oink,
this. Amazing, just really good.
It was brilliant.
Wonderful equalizer.
another one of one of the girls that joined dressed up as one of the morph suits as an orc.
Yeah.
And yeah, quite serious, like this really orky character. And just sat there, like as you said, kind of regrettably oinking, I think.
Yes, like I have doubts on my choices in life.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
When it all boils down to it, a lot of what RPGing and playing these games is about the memories and the laughs and the silliness you have at the table with your friends. And
absolutely,
the party RPG sounds like it's a fast track into that world of silliness. I like it. I'm really
very
impressed.
much so.
Hope so. Yeah, that was definitely what we're going for. So fingers crossed. Yeah.
So this is out now on your website to be able to purchase, and you've got a Facebook group as well. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So so the Facebook is at the Party RPG. We've also got Twitter as well, at the Party RPG 1. I don't actually know what the other one is. Apparently there's another at the Party RPG, but we can't find it, so I don't know. It doesn't seem to exist. And also www.thepartyrpg.com.
Nice,
fantastic,
nice. So should we check back once we've got the book? Should we check back in a couple of months for more adventures? Should we?
Yes, so I'm actively working on the second adventure as we speak. So it was great actually, because there's always this nagging doubt that it would be good for my friends and kind of not for anyone else. And actually just having one of the kind of review go into Tabletop Gaming Magazine in issue 52, where the kind of review loved that crudeness, that silliness, that immaturity of it, really kind of spurred me on to think, actually, I really want to get back into this. It kind of reinvigorates you, makes you think, actually, maybe this is worth doing a second one. So I'm actively working on it. It's all about it's in the same world, so it's in the Great Plains. It's all about an industrious goblin who is introducing steam engines, although they're called steam engines,
right?
Because obviously they're different. And he's going to industrialize the plains and tear down all of the forest. And he also captures dwarves as labor, as kind of forced labor. So there's a bit of an underground rebellion, quite literally brewing around the forced labor dwarves. So it's all going to be a confluence of things happening and coming together. That should be quite interesting. So I've got a lot of I've got some really, really fun ideas for it.
Nice.
That I'm really excited to write down and get down on paper.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Wait to get into it.
I sort of want to see the webcomic of this now too. Following this weird party that changes every couple of panels because you got a new DM or whatever. That'd
be good.
Artist
in for each DM.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. It's really exciting. It's been a delight chatting about the Party RPG with you, Ben. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a delight chatting to you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited for both this original journey and whatever this goblin gets up to, and the challenges of finding the magic eye. There's the bush.
I love the idea that you could be pro-goblin or anti-industrialization, depending on where you sit.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll draw out some arguments for sure in some households.
But in a ridiculous way, I hope. In a ridiculous manner. Yes, I think this has been awesome. Everybody, please check out. Kate has put the links in chat, and we will put them under if you're watching on the YouTubes, we will put them in the description down there somewhere. There's pretty much, like, I can feel my tummy rumbling, unfortunately. And I know just over there is a Belgian bun.
Oh no, I haven't had lunch yet either, and I normally eat about 11:30. So I'm getting hangry now.
So this is I feel a good time to say thank you very much, and we will be back next week with more shenanigans, more guests to share lunchtime with. In the meantime, don't forget to check out the Party RPG, and also. Volunteering has opened on the UK Games Expo website. Head over there, check out the details, submit your form if you want to, and find out more about today's guests, previous guests, and everything about the UK Games Expo as well. Is that everything? Have we covered everything, Kate? Have we got any more
I think
things?
we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. I need to go and buy the Party RPG now, though.
Yeah. That's also why we're going to end early, so we can go and have a look at the book. Yeah. So expensive running this show. Oh,
you guys are bad for my budget.
Yeah. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.